No one told me menopause could amplify ADHD, the forgetfulness, the overwhelm, the anxiety. It all started to make sense. Hey, sis, welcome back. I'm Loretta, a certified health, life, and menopause coach dedicated to helping women 40 plus reclaim control over their health, hormones, and happiness. Today, we're going to be diving into a topic that's deeply personal and often overlooked: ADHD and menopause. My own diagnosis during my perimenopause opened my eyes to this connection, and I believe it's time we shed light on it. First, I just want to remind you before we dive deeper, make sure you like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, especially if you're navigating health and wellness as a woman over 40. Now, let's talk, sis. I was a bit confused about the changes I was experiencing, and I realized that my story might resonate with many of you. In my mid 40s, I began noticing subtle changes, but a little unsettling, and tasks that once felt routine, they became overwhelming. I was misplacing items, forgetting appointments, and I just had this unshakable mental fog. And it honestly, it just became my new normal. Initially, I just attributed this shift solely to my perimenopause. It felt like I was having trouble focusing, fidgeting a bit more, but I just thought maybe I'm just noticing it. It was always there, right? But like I said, I just decided it was just the way it was. So I just made adjustments. I just made adjustments to my new normal. And but it was just one conversation. One conversation with a healthcare professional led to an unexpected revelation. These challenges were not just menopausal symptoms, but also indicative of ADHD. So I was like, what? Receiving ADHD diagnosed during perimenopause was like both enlightening, but it was weird. I'm going to be honest, because I was actually already in my 50s. So on one hand, it provided clarity and validation for the struggles I faced. But on the other hand, it just introduces like new layer of complexity to my midlife journey. Like, what is this? And as a result, I did some research. I did additional research, and I realized that hormonal fluctuations of perimenopause were amplifying underlying ADHD symptoms, a connection that I hadn't previously considered. I didn't even know it was a thing, to be honest with you. So, listen, I'm sharing this chapter of my life with you, not just because it's a personal anecdote, but as a testament to the intricate connection between menopause and ADHD. It's a narrative that underscores the importance of understanding our bodies, advocating for our health, and recognizing that sometimes there's more beneath the surface than we initially perceive. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about how ADHD presents in females. It's often like really different than in males. So, if you think about boys, they're hyper or they're running around and you're like, oh, okay. And then a lot of times they get diagnosed with ADHD. Um, but girls often exhibit subtler signs. They're not as open, let's say it that way. And that leads to undiagnosis or, what am I saying? So they're either not diagnosed at all, or they're underdiagnosed, or misdiagnosed altogether. So it's just that it's research is starting to show how girls, they just go along and they never get a diagnosis at all. And so with girls, sometimes it's inattention, maybe they're daydreaming. And so we just say, oh, they're just daydreaming. Or they start internalizing behaviors, or perfectionism. That was my thing. I mean, I am and still am, but I was even younger, a perfectionist. So that was something, but it was, I never really thought much about it. And I just kind of moved on and just, again, accommodated what was who I was, right? And because of society, a lot of times girls do just that. We are, I don't want to say professional maskers, but we mask our symptoms, and then sometimes we overcompensate. And so that's just kind of where we are. And as a result, a lot of times we just continue on through into adulthood with these undiagnosed mass symptoms. And honestly, we can see it affect me. Sometimes it affects relationships, or it interests in your professional life. But again, many women don't realize that they have ADHD until they face significant life changes, such as motherhood, or as in my case, perimenopause. So what's going on in our bodies? In whatever phase you are in menopause, estrogen plays a pivotal role in brain function, influencing dopamine, which is crucial for attention and executive function. And as we approach menopause, estrogen levels decline, leading to noticeable changes. For those of us with ADHD, this estrogen decline can intensify symptoms, and that was what was happening with me. Tasks that required moderate effort now seem to be insurmountable. Memory lapses become more frequent, and maintaining focus feels like a constant battle. And see, here's the thing, the reason why it was like, you don't really know what's going on, because there is an overlap of menopause and ADHD symptoms. So it's worth noting that some menopausal symptoms mirror ADHD symptoms, such as forgetfulness or mood swings. This overlap, it can seem challenging for us to kind of say, okay, what is it? What's really the root cause of what's going on? Is it menopause or is it ADHD, right? But listen, we just work through it. And I'm going to give you some strategies that I found that I researched and found that work for me. And if this resonates with you, or even someone I need you to hit that like button. I need you to subscribe. This channel is dedicated to uncovering the truths about health and wellness during our best years, over 40. So now let's get into some coping strategies. The goal is for you to be empowered by understanding what's going on in our bodies, right? So now I'm going to give you some coping strategies that I learned. Recognizing the connection between ADHD and menopause was, for me, the first step in trying to figure out how to effectively manage it. All right. So, with understanding comes the power to implement strategies that can alleviate some of the challenges. So, one, structure routines. I'm telling you, I need to have a consistent daily routine. And that's what works for me. I know if you're classic ADHD, you probably have gone through so many calendars and planners. I know I have. But what I find is what really works is not so much just the calendar, but time blocking. That's what really works for me. So that time block is like, this is what I do, and this is what I do every day in that time block. And that's what I found, having that structured routine helps me go through and be effective during the day. Another strategy is mindfulness. So what is that? Some techniques are going to be like meditation, yoga. And what we're doing here is trying to improve our attention span and impulse control. So it just kind of allows us the ability, or gives us the time or the space to be present and to reduce distractions. So that is something that I find for me is more the meditation, having that quiet time and focusing in during that quiet time. Now, listen, I'm not saying it for me, it may not be like this long period of time, but whatever that short time is, then of course you can add to it as time progresses, right? The next one is physical activity, regular exercise. I can't stress that enough. That's something I stress all the time when I'm talking about every subject is exercise, moving our bodies, going out for a walk, cycling. That can boost our mood. And so that is something that's important, and we need to make sure that we have that in our schedule on a daily basis. We talked about this strategy a bit, time management tools, but I'm going to take it from a different perspective. We talked about calendars and planners, but I'm going to talk about a timer. That's really what is kind of my secret sauce, meaning that will, when I need to really focus in, I have a timer. And that timer, is an app that I have on my phone, and it goes for 25 minutes. So for 25 minutes, I'm going to focus in, and then when it goes off, I stop. I take a short break, not a 25-minute break, but a short break, and then I go again. So that 25-minute focus time, it gives me that, it's like I'm setting that timer for a specified period, and it encourages sustained attention during that time. And then again, at the end, it's like I have a short break to recharge. Another technique is stress reduction. So that is something, a strategy that, it could be as simple. We talked about meditation and yoga already. It could be as simple as deep breathing, right? Here we're wanting to just alleviate some of the anxiety and improve our concentration. So we need to make sure we allocate time for relaxation and enjoyable activities. That's crucial. We need to do that. We don't want to overlook that and feel like, well, we got to stay in the hustle, right? No, that let's move out of that type of mentality and recognize that we do need to take some downtime every once in a while. Sleep. That's another strategy. If we don't allow ourselves to get the adequate amount of sleep, that can have a negative impact on our just day to day. So I always encourage, even when I'm speaking just directly for women over 40 that don't have a diagnosis of ADHD, just in general, sleep is very important for our bodies to reset, everything to restore. So when we're looking at that, and we want to have some type of schedule that works for us, I always suggest 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And then, but we need to, it's okay, how can we get that? Even if we're working at, say, okay, I can only maybe get to 7 right now, but to actually have something, a schedule, like at certain time, I'm going to put away my phone, because we know we've heard about screens before bed can keep us kind of more alert than we want to be. And so we can practice relaxation techniques that would be beneficial to us, and in creating just a restful environment to enhance our sleep quality. Another strategy, and you're like, uh-oh, but it's a good strategy, because I'm talking about what we're eating. Maintaining a balanced diet in whole foods, including, when I say whole foods, I'm talking about fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and healthy fats that supports brain health. And so we want to limit as much as we can processed food and high sugar intake. We really need to limit that. And so that is something that I stress for women over 40 in general. And here, in terms of women with ADHD diagnosis, is equally as important. Another strategy is the environment that we're in. Okay. I don't know if you noticed, when I started out, I had my water right here, and I kind of pushed it out the way. But you want to create a distraction free workplace. Whatever your workspace, your whatever, even your bedroom where you're sleeping, you want to declutter your environment. For me, if there's a lot of clutter, it creates overstimulation. I'm like, ugh. So for me, having a clutter free environment helps me. It helps reduce overstimulation and helps me to focus. And it also, if we tie on to the back of that, implementing organizational systems that can also be helpful. So we want to be, kind of just aware of what our environment is. Now, let me stop right here. I'm here again as a certified life coach, health menopause coach, to give you information, to educate, but I'm not a doctor. Okay. So as you going through different things, I always encourage everyone, the ladies, to check in with their doctor. Oh, of course, there's medications, there's therapies that are available, but I always say check in with your doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm just providing you information and education, but always check in with your doctor before you make any changes in your diet and your exercise routine is very important. So I just want to, like I said, I'm sharing my story, because I understand that navigating the dual challenges of ADHD and menopause can feel quite isolating sometimes. But if you understand the intersection, it'll empower us to seek effective strategies and support. So I just want to encourage you today. If any part of my story resonates with you, know that you're not alone. Many women are uncovering similar connections and finding ways to thrive amidst these challenges. I encourage you to share your experiencing or questions in the comments below. Let's foster a community where we can learn from and support each other. And if you may not want to put in your specific experiences, I get it. That's okay. But that's why I have a community for women 40 plus. I want you to comment community if you would like to join our free community for support, weekly topics, challenges, and access to exclusive resources designed for women 40 plus. Click the link below to become part of a community that understands and uplifts. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more discussions on women's health. Together, we can navigate these complexities and empower each other. So I want you to just thank you for spending this time with me. Until next time, take care and remember you're not alone on this journey.